You want to know what the better state is? Is it Tennessee or Idaho? We all know the answer to this. This is our third edition of Idaho versus the other second place state. This one's edition is Tennessee. Where should you move to? What are the pros and cons? Schools, taxes, money, bugs, climate, all that type of stuff. We're going to dive in. So let's go, Idaho. Before we dive into the unbiased report on why Idaho is so much better than any other state, in this edition we're talking about why Idaho is better than Tennessee. Real quick, I wanted to introduce myself if we have not met yet. I am Brian Hymas, born and raised in Boise, Idaho. I have been a realtor for the last 5 years. I was an appraiser for 3 years previous to that. And I have enjoyed and love making videos on all things Boise, all things real estate. There is really no better compliment I can receive than from you to receive a phone call, a text, or an email at the email or number on your screen. If you are thinking about moving to Idaho, or you just have questions about Idaho, maybe it's about something I've talked about in this video and you want to kind of dive deeper into that subject, give me a text, a call, an email, and we'll discuss it. For those of you who are trying to move here fast, then we need to get going on the easy 1, 2, 3 buying process. That it will help you eliminate all the noise, not miss out on any homes, not overpay for homes, and get you going in the right direction as soon as we can. There's really a calm assurance that comes with knowing that we have a system in place to make sure that you get the best home for the best value when you move here to Idaho. And so if you are moving to the Boise area, or you're thinking about moving to the Boise area, in this video you're probably just kind of doing some research, which was better, Idaho or Tennessee, then please watch carefully. We're going to dive into all things, and I will try my best to make it non-biased. I do think Idaho is the best place on earth, and I will never move away from here. So keep that in mind. So let's dive in. Number one, let's talk about traffic. Boise is probably the most congested of all the cities in Idaho. In Boise, you might see a 20-minute commute turn into 30. You might see a 30-minute commute turn into 45. The average commute time in Boise is 20 minutes. Boise, when I say Boise, the Boise Valley. If you aren't familiar with Boise Valley, it includes Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Nampa, Caldwell, and others. When you look at the eastern side of the state, you aren't looking at traffic. You might look at a couple traffic stoplights. Freeways don't get backed up in eastern Idaho. They don't get backed up in Coeur d'Alene. Those are different animals. There's just not as much population there. When you look at Tennessee, you can see commutes of an hour on the regular, right? So you have some bigger cities there. Memphis, Nashville, those are their, some of their biggest cities. The population of the two, just in and of itself, can tell you a lot what you need to know. Idaho's closer to 2 million, Tennessee's closer to 6 million, so those can contribute to a lot of the traffic. Idaho still is small town. When we compare traffic and commutes, Idaho would be the clear winner. But while at the same time, small town USA exists in both states. So if you find a spot that is small town USA in either state, you could probably call it a wash. But obviously, clear winner for me is Idaho. Clear winner for you would probably have to be decided upon where you're going to work and where you're going to live. But there are great communities all over Idaho to live. If you get a job in X city, there's really within 10, 15 minutes, you can find a great family community. Most places around the state are great and safe, and so you can really find whatever fits your budget with a decent commute. Tennessee, we could say something similar. From what I know about Tennessee, I've only been there one time in my life, but from who I've talked to and the research I've done on this video is that the commutes can be pretty manageable, and we're not looking like a 2-hour each way, like a Chicago or something. We're looking at 45-minute type commute, 30-minute commute on the regular for some of those jobs. So that kind of gives you an idea of the commute times and traffic and population of Idaho and Tennessee. Number two, let's talk about shopping in Idaho and Tennessee. Some of the stores you'll find in both states, and we're talking about Walmart's, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Best Buy. We both have our malls. We have the Village. We have a mall in eastern Idaho. There's a mall up in Coeur d'Alene. There's the Boise Town Square in Boise. Nashville has a huge mall. Nashville has quite a scene when it comes to downtown. Nashville's one of the more famous scenes, right? Karaoke's and bars and lights and old town country and people on open mics singing and calling for songs. Nashville, I haven't seen anything like that for Boise. Boise does have Bodo to compare downtown to downtown. Nashville's downtown scene is something special for tourists. Definitely more of a touristy thing, but those stores and things, Kate Spade, we don't have that in Boise. We have that in Nashville. You'll find a few of those upper end, higher end stores in Nashville. Nashville is a huge city. The skyline's amazing. It's really pretty. But again, that we don't have those in Boise. With the day and age, you could probably live in Timbuktu anywhere USA and with Amazon, the power of ordering on the internet is great. And when it comes to shopping, the shopping itself, winter definitely goes to Tennessee, while at the same time, the population, again, dictates a lot of what comes to different cities. And I mean, Nashville is a huge, huge city, and so it does get a lot of that attention. Some of the stores in Tennessee that aren't in Idaho, Piggly Wiggly. We have Southern Market, Publix in Idaho. There is nothing that I don't think we have that they don't. I mean, there's some local stuff like Fred Meyer. That's a Northwest USA type chain. So it's not like they don't have that are comparable in Tennessee. Before we hit number 3, let's acknowledge why we're comparing Idaho to Tennessee in this video and why I've acknowledged Idaho versus Texas and Idaho versus Arizona. That's where you guys are interested in. That's what I've seen time and time and time again. Why? Well, it has to do with some of the colors, red and blue. Definitely, these are red states that are being compared because a lot of these people who are flocking to these states are red people. And I don't care what you vote for. In fact, I think it's important you vote for principles, and I think good principles are found on both sides of the aisle. But we have to recognize that that's why people are moving here. And there are people who are moving to places where there are more blue areas. But this state is traditionally red, and it's not the political affiliation I'm worried about, and it's not the political affiliation we're all worried about. It's the conservative values we want to keep in this state and the conservative values that you're considering moving to, and that's why we're comparing a conservative state to conservative state, is because that's the type of people who are moving here. Despite what the media might tell you, they might tell you it's for the outdoors, they might tell you it's because of the way you pronounce the word Boise. I've literally seen these things, but that's why we're comparing these two conservative states, is because that's what I hear is, hey, we're thinking about moving to your area, Boise, but we're looking at Nashville as well. We're looking at Dallas as well. We're looking at Phoenix as well. And so that's why we're doing these state versus state videos, is for help you compare conservative state to conservative state. Number 3, let's talk about the weather here in Idaho. We have 3 different climates essentially in Idaho. Boise is in this interesting pocket. I've told this story before. It was actually 3 months ago we were traveling home, and it was windy the whole way home from Eastern Idaho. Eastern Idaho, we stayed in Island Park, which is about 20 minutes outside of West Yellowstone. And the whole way home, it was windy. And about 5 miles outside of Boise, all of a sudden the wind totally stopped. So we have Eastern Idaho in the wind, in the cold. We have Northern Idaho, which is cold and it just snows a ton. But those 2 areas in the summer are majestic. It's like the high is 90, where in the Boise area, you're gonna get the high, we can get in the 105. They can get to, I've seen them be 100 before, but for the most part, you could just say like 95 to 100. In Eastern Idaho and Northern Idaho, we're looking at more like the 90s. I was just in Northern Idaho this summer, and it was actually close to 100, but this was an interesting summer, so it's not typical. And then the winters are so mild. Right now we got snow, and I can see a speck of snow just outside the window past the camera here. And it's the coldest thing about the winter is when the wind blows, and it's a pretty mild wind area here in Boise. Wind is terrible in Eastern Idaho, anything like Twin Falls East, and Northern Idaho is not bad. It can be really, really pretty in Northern Idaho in the winter, but not a whole ton of wind. When it comes to Nashville's weather in the winter, for example, the highs are around the 50s, the lows around the 30s, so that's a little bit more mild than Boise's winters, and then obviously way more mild than Eastern Idaho and Northern Idaho. That kind of gives you an idea of what Nashville's all about. You can get snow and sleet in the mountains. That's the Appalachian Mountains there in Tennessee. Hard to call them mountains. They're more like rolling hills to me, but who's to say, tomato, tomato. In the summer, you can get averages around 90, 100 degrees, but you do have that humidity in Tennessee. So that's a huge difference, right? 30-degree humid Tennessee winter is gonna feel a little bit more bone-cutting than a 30-degree mild Boise day winter with the sun shining. So you have to compare those as well. Humidity is huge. Humidity also helps the beauty, right, of the area, because you don't need to get as much water to the grass to make it green or to the trees to make them grow. But just know the humidity is real in Tennessee. It's very dry in Idaho. When it's all said and done, you can enjoy great weather in both states. Humidity offsets some of the lower temperatures in Boise and versus Nashville. You can still get out in the outdoors, you can still go camping. So in Nashville, your skin might be a little bit more moist and more lush. In Idaho, you might need that to lotion, but that comes at a cost because humidity does really go right to the bone in the wintertime. Another thing to talk about in weather is the natural disasters. In Idaho, we've had 2 earthquakes in the last 30 years. They were both in central Idaho. One was near Chalice and one was east of Cascade, like 120 miles, I think it was, or 120 miles north of Boise. Can't remember why that number's in my head. Earthquakes are super rare. We don't get tornadoes, we don't get floods, there's not a lot, like the drought seasons are not terrible. We don't have to shut off our water for days on end. There's really not a lot of natural disasters in Idaho. When it comes to Tennessee's natural disasters, we're looking more at severe storms, floods, wildfires, tornadoes. landslides, and then you do get some earthquakes in Tennessee, they say. And so when we look at some of the bugs that come with the weather, you know, Idaho's really, really mild. Ants, earwigs, box elder bugs, spiders, bed bugs, and clover mites. I have not had bed bugs in Idaho. I've had those in another country. I lived in Bolivia for a couple years, and they are not fun, but they say we have them in Idaho, I guess. I don't know. In Tennessee, scorpions, caterpillars, moss, wasps, mantis, beetles, bugs, crickets, and I believe they got chiggers over there too. So, though chiggers, if you don't chiggers, stay off the grass. It's not cool. But let's dive into number 4. That's recreation and getaways. Really, both states have a lot to offer. Very different topography, if you will, with both states. But Idaho and Tennessee both have a ton to offer. Let's talk about the rivers. You can go rafting in both states. Idaho has some of the world's best rapids. Our rivers are rushing, they're roaring. There's some holes that are 5s, 4s, and 3s. I think those are a little bit more rare in Tennessee. So, you know, kayaking and rafting, this is where people come from all over the world to go on the salmon, the snake, and the payette. Even locks up north, and there's a ton, and there's actually way more than that. I've some friends that are big rafters. They're going to be wondering why I left off some of the most famous runs, I'm sure. But that is a really, really big plus to Idaho. You can be camping in Tennessee or Idaho. Those Smoky Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, those are very fun to be in, they say, for camping. You got Stanley with the Sawtooth and White Clouds. You've got the Frank Church Wilderness. You just have so many options when it comes to outdoors in Idaho. I mean, Idaho has snowmobiling, it has snowshoeing, it has skiing, it has kayaking, it has camping, it has rock climbing, it has rappelling, motorbikes, biking, bird watching, paddle sports, you know, RVing, UTVs, ATVs, golf. It has just so much to do in Idaho. I've said this in another video before. We met this family when we were in Orlando at Disney World in like 2008 or so. And they asked, you know, they were saying they're going to visit something in every state. And like they were in Florida to go visit Disney World. They said, what should we visit in Idaho? And I was like, you don't visit like a museum, or you go do things in Idaho. Yeah, we have Silverwood up north, and we have Hiawatha Trail. Hiawatha Trail's a do. That's an example. So we do have a little tiny theme park. It's like a lagoon, if you know lagoon, or Knott's Berry Farm type of thing in northern Idaho. It's awesome. It's fun. It's good for the kids, good for the family. There's some good rides. There's a water park as well. To go on the Hiawatha Trail, or to go camping, or go rappelling, or rent UTVs or snowmobiles, that's what you do in Idaho. We have a ton of ski resorts, right? Schweitzer up north. We have Bogus, Brundage, Tamarack, Pomerel. We have Shore Lodge and McCall, Sun Valley and Sun Valley. Mesa Falls is super, super beautiful. If you've never been to Lake Coeur d'Alene, super beautiful. You can do cruises on there. You can play golf on there. In Tennessee, some of the things you can go visit, I have Grand Ole Opry, Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Graceland and Elvis Presley Memphis Complex. You know, that's a huge thing. Their music's a huge part of Tennessee. Home of the Blues in Memphis. Hello Dollywood, Andrew Jackson's Hermitage, the Parthenon in Nashville, American Museum of Science and Energy, and there's Lookout Mountain, Chattanooga. We've all probably seen that picture, the Lookout Mountain. That's a very, very famous lookout. They have a Titanic museum over there. Quite a few things. Again, a lot to do in both states. If I were to give a non-biased winner, I'd choose Idaho. If I was going to give a super biased report on this, I'd say definitely Idaho. Not even a competition. When it comes to pro sports teams, number 5, we're going to talk about the clear winner is Tennessee. Again, this is really hard for me. I actually love sports. I love that. I went to a college that doesn't have sports teams, and so I find myself rooting for Boise State because that's my home team, and then I also find myself rooting for USC because my dad went there, and so I have those two. But when it comes to pro sports, man, if we had a pro sports team, it'd be so fun. But we don't. We have minor league hockey. Idaho Steelheads. We have minor league baseball, Boise Hawks. We used to have Idaho Stampede. They've since moved on to Utah. And we have Boise State basketball, Boise State football. If you haven't been to these small town type feel games, they are pretty fun, but just not the same. It's just not the same. Tennessee has Memphis Grizzlies in NBA. They have the Nashville Predators in hockey. And they also have the Tennessee Titans in football. So they obviously are the clear winner when it comes to pro sports teams. Let's talk about home prices. Number 6, when we compare Tennessee to Idaho, there are some differences for sure. An area that I've heard a lot of people going to in Tennessee is Franklin. It's outside of Nashville. Franklin's home prices are at $764. Meridian in Boise area is at where a lot of the growth is happening is $587. And so you can compare those two hot areas to each other. Eagle's home prices, where I'm from, they're north of $900. They kind of fluctuate between $875 and $950 depending on where that month, last 30-day data is, but that's That's kind of where the median price is. Boise itself, Boise proper is $529. Nashville itself is $400. When you look at Memphis, you can see it south of $200. I actually got on Zillow to see about Memphis's prices because Tennessee is a disclosure state, so you have to disclose what your home sale is. In Idaho, you don't, and so Zillow just guesses in Idaho, and so all those prices are kind of guesstimated in Idaho, but Tennessee is a little bit more accurate. And Memphis was a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,500 square foot home where there's not a lot in Memphis for under $500,000. It kind of depends on what you're looking for. When you compare like a 3-bed, 2-bath home, you can see more comparable pricing, but if not, Tennessee is actually the winner in this one, I would say. But you can do some data searching for yourself with that graph up on your screen. When it comes to cost of living in Idaho versus Tennessee, take a look at this screenshot we grabbed. It shows that Tennessee is actually 2.5% more expensive than Idaho. Not a huge difference at all. You'll pay less at restaurants, you'll pay more for groceries, and the list goes on. Transportation's very similar. You'll pay more for housing, it says, overall. So when we compare housing in Tennessee to Idaho and we compare straight housing of 3-bed, 2-bath, it's actually a tad bit more expensive from the research I'm seeing to live in Tennessee than Idaho, but that is, going to be dependent on city to city. So Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, all these different cities. But, we have Boise, Eastern Idaho, Northern Idaho, and it's going to depend. They are not too far off from each other. There used to be a huge disparity. Now there's not. Pay more for housing in Tennessee, pay less for childcare in Tennessee. Sports and entertainment, you'll pay actually less in Tennessee, which kind of an interesting stat though, because when you talk about pro sports teams, you're obviously paying more. There's some different things that go into that. We'll talk about sales tax in another section. You actually pay more for clothing, it says. And these are just some data points they've pulled from across the state, and then they put them on a website and compare them. So if your experience is different, I'd love to hear that in the comments of which one is more expensive for you. Number 8, let's talk about schools. And we're only gonna talk about the universities just kind of briefly, just what we have to offer. Idaho has the University of Idaho, Boise State University, College of Southern Idaho, Idaho State University, and Brigham Young University, Idaho, which is where I went. We also have Northwest Nazarene in Nampa and College of Idaho in Caldwell. Those are the main ones. Tennessee, there is Vanderbilt University, University of Tennessee, Knoxville, University of Tennessee at Martin, the University of Memphis. They also have Middle Tennessee State. When it comes to upper education, Tennessee takes the cake on this one. Idaho does not have a lot of doctorate programs. They have a law school up in Moscow. They have an osteopathic medicine doctorate degree up in here in Boise. Very new. Other than that, there's not a lot of doctorate degrees available in Idaho. Tennessee does have a little bit more to offer there. Number 9, when it comes to taxes, I've always said they're gonna get you no matter what. For example, Tennessee's property taxes are lower than Idaho's, but their sales tax is actually some of the highest in the nation. It's the same thing when we discuss other states, like whether they get you property taxes, income taxes, whatever it might be, they're gonna get you. And so I really think these are a wash. In Idaho, we have, property tax, you're not taxed on the first $125,000 of your primary property, of your appraised value. In Tennessee, they used to have a 1% straight flat tax on your income tax and all your income there, but they don't anymore. It's recently been changed. So I want to ask you, where do you want to move? Tennessee or Idaho? Did this video change your opinion, solidify your opinion? What did it do for you? Make your comment below, log in obviously, and then make your comment. Would love to hear those responses, or if you have questions, hit me up as well. I respond to all of those. That is me that's responding to there. I don't hire that out, that's me. So if you have any questions, please put those in the comments. And obviously for all things Boise real estate, do subscribe. And again, Brian Hymas, born and raised here in Boise, Idaho, was an appraiser, now a real estate agent, top 5% producer here in the Valley, and would love to help you. I get those calls and emails multiple times through the week. And not everyone moves here, but I love helping you all. And if you have questions or you're moving here, please hit me up at the number or the email on your screen. I text or call, email anytime, and I will get back to you. It would be my honor, and there's no better compliment that I can receive than from you to hear that you need my help in moving to Boise or Idaho. And I would love the opportunity. If Idaho is the place for you, there is a video that should be popping up on your screen now. Top 7 FAQs to moving to Boise, Idaho. Awesome video. And if you want to discover more about Boise, that'd be a good one for you. For this business and this prosperity in Boise, okay, let's go again. Oh, weather, Let's go back to weather. But please do know that I am biased. I think this is the best place on earth, and I will never move from here. So I will never move here.